Hey guys, welcome back to Movie Thoughts. So today is going to be a little different. I'm not going to be doing a normal review. Instead, I decided that, there's this random guy out there on the internet giving movie reviews. I figured I probably should let a little bit loose about my life and who I am. So that way it's a little easier to understand why I think certain ways. So obviously, hi, my name is Connor. I am a high school senior. I am in the marching band. I play tuba. I'm also in our cymbal line at my high school for our indoor drum line. I have done Boy Scouts since I was in first grade. I've been playing tuba since I was in sixth. My first memory of going to the movies was with my grandmother, spending the night with her. Every time we spent the night with her, we would always go to movies the next morning / afternoon. And from there, it's just the love has grown and grown and grown to the point where now I'm doing this. I decided to do this because of the fact that there's really not a lot of high school / college kids doing stuff like this. You see a bunch of adults talking about movies and giving their own opinions and looking at them from a critical standpoint, but no one really ever does that with like a high school or a college student. And that's probably because, yes, we are younger and we are not as experienced with the world, but at the same time, this is film. This is something, a medium that people can get behind, people can pay attention to and watch and enjoy. So I figured because of that and because of what I want to do with my life, as in I am looking to study film when I go to Florida State / I want to go to Florida State to study film. I haven't been accepted yet, but I'm hoping to. And that's what I want to do with my life. I want to do stuff with film. I want to make my own. I hope to become a director one day, tell my own stories. Already had a couple ideas for a few plots and scripts, but nothing really has been written yet. But what it is. But aside from that, that's a little bit on my life. So yeah. Now I kind of want to talk about some of the movies behind me because, in order to talk about film, I figured I should give an insight onto who I am and what I like. So obviously, you see behind me, you got Marvel, DC, Mission Impossible, and a few others. So I'm going to talk about those, give a few insights, give a couple little sneak peek / preview of why I like them / what I didn't like, and just to give a better idea as to who I am as a person and my love of film. So let's get started. So kicking off the collection, at least part of the collection. This is not my full collection, obviously. I do have plenty more in a different place, but this is just what I brought up here to make the set. But let's start out with the Marvel films. This is gonna fall. I'll fix it later. So, the first little pride and joy of my collection is my Marvel collection, namely Phase 1. I got this in 2015 as a Christmas gift. That's when I also got this, my Phase 2 collection, and it's pretty neat. It contains all the Phase 1 films, including a few little files with memorabilia from each of the movies. For example, a bunch of Tony Stark memorabilia, including a teaser for Iron Man 3. So it's got that. Then little glow up Tesseract, pretty neat. Then contains all the films. Iron Man, which obviously kicking everything off, it was great. Incredible Hulk, the outlier of the MCU. It's not bad. I like it. It's just compared to the rest, it's kind of like, oh yeah, this exists. Iron Man 2, not as good as the first one. Still pretty entertaining. Just the plot's kind of all over the place, and Whiplash was not a very good villain. So then on the other side, we have Thor, which was good. It was entertaining. Going on, it's not one of the best, but it's still good enough. First Avenger is good. The Captain America films progressively got better over time with each passing film, but starting out as a World War II film, it's good. It's entertaining, and I like it. Red Skull's a pretty good villain. Hugo Weaving does a great job. And the big boy, the Avengers. The Avengers was awesome. I loved it. Loki is great as the villain. Joss Whedon did a really good job with bringing these people together. And this is definitely the best one out of Phase 1. And, oh yeah, there's like a little bonus disc that came with it, talking about Phase 1, making of some of the films, and a little bit into Phase 2. So, yeah, pretty neat. Oh. And this goes up, the little logo right here. Pretty neat. Anyways. And then we have the Phase 2 collection. I'm going to be careful with this one because it's not all together like this one. So, but this is obviously the orb from Guardians of the Galaxy. Inside is pretty neat. You got the little Power Stone, the thing you can light up inside. Pretty cool, right? Yeah. Okay. And you just shut it back together. So, yeah. Just right here. Okay. And then inside... Inside this is all of Phase 2 films. So we got a little bonus disc talking about Phase 3. A few other things in Phase 2. Iron Man 3, the odd one out of the trilogy. It's done well by Shane Black. I was not a fan of the Mandarin twist at all, but it's still fun, entertaining. It does wrap up the core Iron Man storyline very well. This is the worst in the MCU. It's the most choppy. It's the least well executed. It's still fun. I still like it, but it was just kind of okay. Winter Soldier was awesome. It's a great political thriller. Anthony and Joe Russo really showed that they had the chops to do this series when they made this movie, and there's no question why they made Civil War or Infinity War or Endgame. They just did a great job. Guardians of the Galaxy was Marvel's biggest risk they took when they started this. And when I say that, I mean the matter of bringing in some D characters who people didn't really know about, bringing them together. And yeah, this was great. James Gunn did an awesome job. The casting's great, and it's a lot of fun. Ronan's not the strongest villain, which is really why this film is not high on my ranking, at least in terms of just overall like what I thought. But otherwise, this is a really great film. Age of Ultron's the worst out of the Avengers series. It's still good. I honestly like Ultron a lot more than some people. I thought James Spader was perfect casting for it. They could have done a lot more with him, but I liked what they did. This film has a lot more of importance now, setting up everything. Because, I mean, back in 2015, it just wasn't as good because it was just kind of like, oh, well, this is all that's coming. It's like, okay, great. And then you see what else comes in Phase 3, and it's like, oh, wow, this movie was actually pretty important. So, opinions changed a bit over time, but I still like it. This was kind of the breather Marvel needed after the chaos of Ultron and everything that happened with it. Paul Rudd was a good choice for Scott Lang. Michael Douglas is great as Hank Pym. Peyton Reed did a good job with it. Edgar Wright, I do honestly wish, like, obviously I'm not dissing Peyton Reed. He did a great job, but I was kind of interested to see what Edgar Wright would have done with a Marvel film, but since he never got to do that. So, yeah. So, that's it on the big collections. Now to the smaller films. This movie was freaking awesome. You see both sides of the spectrum and count to the Sokovia Accords. Not Soviet, yeah. And just, you agree with both sides to a certain standpoint. There is no one true good or bad side, and it's really neat. Plus, the action was awesome in this movie. Watching them fight was really, really fun. Yeah. Doctor Strange was good. It was good. I'm not going to diss it. Scott Derrickson did a good job. Benedict Cumberbatch is perfect casting. Caecilius is not the strongest Marvel villain. I love Mads Mikkelsen. I think he's great. I think he definitely has good villain chops. I mean, he was Lashif in Casino Royale, and he was awesome there. But overall, just another fun Marvel film. It's kind of just middle in my ranking. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is not as good as the first one in terms of story. I find it a little funnier than the first. I think Ego was a better villain than Ronan. I think this had a lot more entertaining elements, but at the same time, the story, the script, the execution is not as solid as the first one, which is why it's not as good. Homecoming is possibly my second favorite of the live-action Spider-Man. The first one is Far From Home. Don't get me wrong, I love Spider-Man 2. I thought it was great. Just once this came out and I watched it, I was just, I don't know, I liked it a little more. Just the fact that they took it to a high school setting and just made it more of a high school film. That's what I thought was neat. Michael Keaton was great as Vulture. Tom Holland's perfect casting as Spider-Man. And yeah, this movie was great. The film that saved the Thor franchise. Taika Waititi came in and absolutely crushed it. His work here is so funny and entertaining. I really, really am excited to see what he does for the next one. But there are a couple moments here where the comedy does kind of overshadow some of the more important elements, but it's just only a couple times. Otherwise, this movie's great in execution and really funny. It's sad talking about this, given the fact that Chadwick Boseman recently passed. But Black Panther's awesome. It's great. I see why it was nominated for Best Picture. I don't fully agree with it, but I see why. And it's not that I don't agree with it. It's just this should not have been the first comic book film to be nominated. That should have gone to The Dark Knight, in my opinion. But still, this is really good. Killmonger's awesome as the villain. It's just a very well executed film. The film we were all really excited for and were completely shocked by at the very end. Infinity War was awesome. It's just non-stop action. Thanos is the pinnacle of the Marvel villains so far, in my opinion. Killmonger's awesome, but Thanos is just gold. But this was just a lot of fun, and the ending I still sit through it going, whoa, I cannot believe Marvel actually had the guts to do that. Even though, yes, they brought everybody back. Spoilers. Sorry for people who haven't seen it. I don't own Ant-Man and the Wasp or Captain Marvel. I've not had the chance to buy those yet. Ant-Man and the Wasp was fun. I was not the biggest fan of Captain Marvel, but I still thought it was pretty good. This is my favorite of the Marvel films. One of the things about me is that in a series, if you can pull off a conclusion, and I mean like really pull it off, given how much certain films have set it up, you have sold me. And this is what this movie did. It took off every single thing for the past 11 years, the MCU, and pulled it off in one awesome movie. The third act here is the best part of any Marvel film I will probably ever see. Just what they were able to accomplish was just pure fan service and pure just cold. I love it. It was great. No complaints. Spider-Man Far From Home is personally my favorite of the Spider-Man live-action films. I like the balance between the high school and the Spider-Man part of the film. I think Mysterio was great as the villain. Obviously, no, it's not the best Spider-Man film. That is going to go to Into the Spider-Verse, which was absolutely phenomenal, but this was really good still, and was a really good closer to Phase 3 and the Infinity Saga, with a massive cliffhanger at the very end that I'm still waiting for Marvel to answer. Stupid coronavirus. Little tidbit. I'm actually going to be doing a review series leading up to Black Widow, covering all the films that she was in before her solo film comes out. So that's my tentative plan. I've heard rumors that it's supposed to be getting moved. Maybe. I don't know. But for right now, that's just what I have planned. So it's going to start out with Iron Man and end with Endgame. I'm covering 8 films. So now let's get to the other ones. Starting off, Wonder Woman. I know this isn't technically the first in the DCEU, but in terms of continuity, But Wonder Woman was awesome. It's definitely what the DCEU needed after Man of Steel was decently received. Batman v Superman flopped with critics, and so did Suicide Squad. So this was definitely what DC needed. It was great. I really enjoyed it. Gal Gadot was awesome as Wonder Woman. This might honestly be the most divisive film in the DCEU, but I enjoyed Man of Steel. I really did. I thought it was definitely good. Henry Cavill's great as Superman. There are some plot problems and a couple other things, but overall, Zack Snyder did a really good job with this, and I really enjoyed it. Okay. The Ultimate Edition part. The Ultimate Edition is good. It's enjoyable. I like it. The theatrical cut, I do not. I think it's bad. It's not good. There were a lot of problems when I saw it in theaters. There are still problems with it now. But watching the Ultimate cut, it's a lot better. It's a lot more what Zack Snyder envisioned. And it was honestly the cut we should have gotten in theaters. Suicide Squad is my guilty pleasure of the DCEU. It's not perfect, not by any means, and there's a lot of problems, but I still enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun. So yeah, and Margaret Robbie was great casting as Harley Quinn. Still is. Ah yes, the Frankenstein film. Justice League is... Oh man. Okay, so when this first came out, I thought it was okay. I thought it was decent enough. Then after hearing everything that's happened on set and hearing what this movie should have been, oh, it's so much worse. It's so much worse. Anyways, it's not complete crap, but it's just not good. Aquaman was so much fun. That's all this movie is. It's just a lot of fun. James Wan did a really good job with how fun this movie is. The plot's kind of generic / a little choppy. There's a few moments where it just doesn't flow well with the rest of the movie, and it's a little long. At the same time, this film was so much fun. This is my favorite of the DCEU. Shazam is not the most DCEU-esque, as in continuity-wise, but it's so fun to watch. It's really funny, and at the core of the story is the story of a foster kid who's just trying to find his mother and the family he's trying to learn to accept, and it's just really sweet, and that's really why I put this movie above the rest. Otherwise, it's just another fun, great superhero film with Superman meets big. Gotta stop mixing my words up. So, on to some other non-franchise films. 1917, if it wasn't for Parasite, this should have won Best Picture. This film was beautifully made, so impactful and emotional. I walked out of that theater speechless at what I had witnessed watching this. Sam Mendes did such a great job with this movie. Baby Driver is not Edgar Wright's best film, but it's still my favorite film of 2017. I love the heck out of this movie. The soundtrack is awesome. The sound mixing and editing is great. The cast is great. The action is so much fun. I have a blast with this movie every single time I watch it. The Conjuring Collection is one of my more recent grabs. It was a gift from someone, and just quick little shots at each one. This is a pretty good haunted house film. This was okay. This is bad. Conjuring's awesome. Animal Creation's the best out of the three. It was really solid. David F. Sandberg did a good job. And Conjuring 2 is not as good as the first, but James Wan still brought back a lot of fun stuff. And to me, it was just a tad little long. Just a tad. Not a whole lot. The Easter 177 trilogy is probably, I want to say, a good example of how to screw up a franchise in the very end. Unbreakable was great. Split was great. I have not rewatched Glass since I saw it in theaters, but it's one of those films that I really have to rewatch because, on the one hand, there were a bunch of good things about it, but at the same time, Shyamalan kind of screwed the pooch on a few other things, so I just have to rewatch it. My Mission Impossible 6 collection. So it's got a little booklet inside detailing all the missions of each movie. It's kind of cool. And then obviously we have all the 6 films. I've not. Okay, hate me for this. I've not seen 2, 3, or Ghost Protocol. I've seen Rogue Nation, Fallout, and the first one. So essentially, my thoughts are: Mission Impossible was good, Rogue Nation was great, and Fallout was so much fun and really, really well done. I honestly forgave Justice League a little bit for Henry Cavill's mustache job because of Fallout, because of how awesome it was. The MonsterVerse films. Godzilla was great. It was definitely a really good adaptation of the franchise. And loads better than the 1998 film, God. But the cast is good. It does focus on the human characters a little more, and they save him till the very end, but in the end it's all worth it because this was so much fun to watch. Kong Skull Island is a ton of fun. It's a great cast. John C. Reilly really surprised me with his chops in this movie and how much fun he was as an action star. And the fights here were awesome. So this is a textbook case of entertainment value due to what's going on screen rather than what's going on in the script. The plot isn't great in this film. The script's kind of boring, and the characters aren't very interesting, minus the core family. But Godzilla throwing down with King Ghidorah was awesome, and Mothra and Rodan, and this movie was just a lot of fun. Best Picture winner, Parasite. This movie is part comedy, part drama, part dark thriller, part really. There's a lot in this film that really melts well together. The social class commentary on this is great. Bong Joon-ho really knocked it out of the park with this film. And if it wasn't for Knives Out, this would have been my favorite. But Rian Johnson's awesome script for that film, mixed with how intriguing that movie was just gave me a little more than what this gave, but nevertheless, it's still awesome. I've been a Pokemon fan since I was in 3rd grade, and yeah, Detective Pikachu is definitely a textbook case of, well, pure entertainment. I had so much fun with this film. There were honestly a few moments where I was just like, because of all the Pokemon battles going on, because, nostalgia, and it looked awesome. The story's kind of generic. A little, just predictable, but at the same time, this movie was a lot of fun. It's not perfect, but I still had a lot of fun with it. Probably the most bonkers, insane movie I saw this last year, Ready or Not, was just insane. It's a lot of fun to watch. There's some good kills in here. It's really funny. I like every single member of the family. They all have this distinct personality that makes them really entertaining to watch. The ending is just, I just smiled through it. But yeah, this movie was really great. Samara Weaving really needs to be in a lot more. She's awesome. This is the only DVD I have in my collection because I just haven't bought the Blu-ray. This was also a gift from a friend, so that's why I probably haven't bought it yet. But Scott Pilgrim is quintessential, pure fun. It's stylish. It's funny. It's probably my more favorite of Edgar Wright's films. That's not dissing Baby Driver because Baby Driver was awesome, but just from a standpoint of how this movie was made and stylish and fun it was, and the anime mixed with video games style they went with, it was just a lot of fun, and I really love Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. If someone tells you that this is their favorite film, you can automatically just tell a lot about them from this. So I can tell you about this. I can't tell you about this. I have not watched this. This was also a gift. I know Green Mile is supposed to be really great. I haven't seen it yet. Don't at me. Shawshank Redemption. Jesus Christ, this movie was awesome. What can I say? Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman are awesome in this film. It's so well done, so well made. This is definitely one of the best Stephen King adaptations. I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan in the world. If you ask me if I had to choose, I would choose Star Wars. I don't hate Star Trek. By no means. And quite honestly, I like all three of the Kelvin timeline. Yeah, I know. I haven't seen Wrath of Khan or any of the other older ones. Don't get into that. But I like all three of these. Star Trek was awesome. I think Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto were great casting as Kirk and Spock. Into Darkness might be my favorite. I know it rips from Wrath of Khan. I know, but just the way Benedict Cumberbatch plays him, the way the movie plays out, I just enjoyed it a little more than the first one. Just a little, not a lot. Beyond was very much an original Star Trek story. Idris Elba was great as the villain. Justin Lin from the Fast and Furious franchise came in and did a great job with it. I really enjoyed it. It's just not as good as the first two, but with the inclusion of Jayla and a few other characters, and it's just a really fun Star Trek movie. I really enjoyed it. I brought this up here because I was just kind of thinking about Marvel, and I was like, oh, hey, Venom. This isn't perfect. It's not complete crap, but it isn't perfect. So, yeah, but Tom Hardy's great as Venom. It's still kind of fun, but just the story is just sloppy, and Riz Ahmed's very boring as a villain. But that's essentially it. Back over here. So, that's a little on me, a little on what I like and who I am as a person. So, thank you so much for watching. Look forward to more content very, very soon. I got a ton I got to do. I have, obviously, going to start the Black Widow rank videos. I got a DCE ranking coming up. I have a ton of films I have seen that I need to do very quick reviews on. Not just in theaters, but also streaming. I have not touched on any of those. I really need to. I didn't do that over quarantine, and I regret that, but now I have a lot to get done. So, thank you so much for watching. Look forward to more very, very soon.